You're dead! You're dead! And you ain't taking me with you!
What's going on, everyone? My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve 94. Thank you so much for tuning in to Old Habits Die Hard. On today's show, we're going to talk about the 25th anniversary of Final Destination. Just in time for the latest release, Bloodlines. Let's go. Alright, people, full disclosure, this is actually my first time sitting through this film in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces before on reruns on TV back in the day, but I've never sat through this. I'm gonna be real with you ahead of time. This won't be a long one. Let's just say that. Alright, let's read the plot synopsis. Final Destination stars Devon Sawa, Ali Larter, Kerr Smith, and Tony Todd. Sawa portrays a teenager who cheats death after having a premonition of a catastrophic plane explosion. He and several of his classmates leave the plane before the explosion occurs, but death later takes the lives of those who were meant to die on the plane. Long story short, one person gets a vision before something really bad happens, and it's up to them to prevent it, and then after they initially prevent it, they must continue to beat death's design. Now, people, just to be real here, I started watching this franchise with the second entry. I didn't even know it existed. Just remembered I have an extra copy of 3 that I meant to set up as a prop. I was a little young when this one came out, but that tanning scene I remember vividly. Alright, Final Destination opens with our main character, Alex, played by Devon Sawa. This is the night before he is going on a class trip to Paris. Now, I watched this with subtitles on. While he's sleeping, you can hear someone say Alex. It's weird and eerie and not something you're going to see a lot of in the franchise, if I'm not mistaken. To be fair, this is, I'm doing this all on a rewatch here. I personally remember Death not doing shit like this, but hey, whatever. Next day, we meet our other characters. We have Claire, Carter, Terry, Billy, Todd, and the teacher, Mrs. I gotta look this one up, y'all. According to Wikipedia, Valerie Luton, which, she goes by Miss Luton in the film. Meanwhile, weird shit is happening around Alex, people. The literal signs are here. You don't believe me? Look at the fucking burn mark on the wing. Which, by the way, we're done here. I'm just gonna take the next flight. Before we go any further, though, I will say, fucking Carter and Terry making out in the goddamn waiting area of the airport. Really? I mean, these are fucking teenagers damn near getting it on. Gross. Whatever, back to the present. Alex ends up switching seats with someone else, and he has to sit next to his best bud, Todd, instead of his intended seat. More on that later. The plane lifts off in about 13 minutes of film, so it's wasting no time. We're getting started, people. It doesn't take long for shit to go south, literally. But wait, this is a dream? Or premonition? Okay, alright. Alex decides to let people know that the plane's gonna blow up, and it's weirdly specific details, I will say. Doesn't look good for him, but he causes a goddamn panic, as naturally you would, and then the characters that I named earlier, those leave the plane. Everyone else stays. Next thing you know, boom! So, Alex was right, and he was warned? So, Alex is going to jail, is how it would be in real life, okay? There's too many coincidences going on, but luckily for him, he gets released after a brief interrogation. And they're pretty calm here. If this was a year or 2 later, they'd have been waterboarding his ass. At this point, all of the survivors, his families, they arrive to pick them up. All except for Claire. You never see her family at all. Yeah, they just survived a huge ordeal, but hey, for now, all is well. Except for Alex, goddamn elements are literally coming for his ass. I'm not kidding, people. At one point, he literally witnesses lightning attack his street. It's just an ominous sign of what's to come. A common thing we'll do in these films is attend funerals, especially early on. At this point, we're in the early bits where there's a memorial service for the plane crash. Billy, played by Sean William Scott, is just amazed at Alex. I mean, he's super worried, but he's like trying to use Alex's fluke premonition as something that it's not. Yeah, he's worried. He's a fucking kid. I get it. At least he can tolerate fucking Alex, unlike Miss Luton, who's just a complete dick to him. So, people, let's get into the selling point of this film. Todd is alone in the bathroom, as most people normally are. Don't know why I had to say it like that. Alright, people, so Todd was first to go, so I guess naturally he's gonna be first on Death's shit list. Honestly, without getting into major spoilers here, because this is actually my favorite part. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it real with you people. The climax of this film or whatever didn't quite do it for me, so this kill in particular, yeah, spoiler alert, Todd doesn't make it. How he goes out, I'm not gonna really get into it, but holy shit. Really effective work. This is the standout. It's completely unbelievable. Suspend your disbelief for a few moments here, but it's fucking gruesome. You know what? Slight spoiler here. The blood vessels on his eyes burst. Yeah, you know what? I'm just reliving that, just making me eerie, and I'm getting goosebumps. I will say this actually brings up a really important question. Because this is what I don't remember in the sequels. Without the details, Death really manipulates just small, minute little things you would overlook. Except in this one particularly. In this one, Death is able to create a leak and then reverse the shit out of it. And it's just like, oh, no. And the floor is dry afterwards. No. So, yeah, that's something you won't see a lot of in the sequels. If I'm wrong, please don't murder me in the comments, but that's what I remember. I will say Todd is in the middle of shaving his face. Yeah, that fucking guy. What is he shaving? There's not a goddamn hair in sight, man. It's all up here, bro. Like, we're the opposite. I've got more dead hair follicles here than he has alive on his face. This shit is fucking brutal. I do remember a lot more like moments in the sequels. Like, hey, look how we're gonna kill this one. Where this one try to focuses just on the brutality. And, you know, it's like they're not in on the joke just yet. Which, you know, it's the first of the franchise. They're sort of still finding their footing. I get it, but once they really, like, explore this element in the sequels, I think it's more fun. Todd's dad, which I did not establish earlier in this review, Todd's dad blames fucking Alex for Todd's suicide, which Alex is not buying from the get-go. The only reason I want to include that little note there is just because I understand dude is grieving. He just lost two of his children. When we're grieving, we do and say horrible things, but try not to torture kids. That's a shitload of weight that Alex really doesn't need right now. So that's the only reason I wanted to include that note. I don't believe we see Todd's dad at all after that. I mean, he's done. He's written out. Claire, who I keep wanting to call Claire. Oh man, forgive me if I did that earlier. Claire, played by Ali Larder, her ass is apparently force sensitive. Apparently, y'all, Claire gets weird feelings. She doesn't get to see it. She doesn't get the visions. At least not yet. Their asses break into a goddamn morgue, and then they have a little run-in with a recently passed legend, Tony Todd, who I believe will still appear in Bloodlines later this year. So, you know, definitely going to see that one out of respect. But who the fuck is he? It really doesn't matter. For some reason, this guy has the goddamn answers.
It's all part of death's sadistic design, leading to the grave. design. Does that mean if you figure out the design, you can cheat death?
Alex, you've already done that by walking off the plane. Your friend's departure shows that death has a new design for all of you.
I want to ask you though, why are morticians always so gross in movies? It's a goddamn staple at this point. I can't think of a straight-laced mortician in any film right now, at least not off the top of my head. Oh shit, I guess in Return of the Living Dead, I believe that dude was normal, but for the most part, they're usually really gross. You know, I can think of Gone in 60 Seconds, Arachnophobia, this one. Those poor people get a bad rep in films, and I will not stand for this. So now that we've got a huge info dump from Sir Tony Todd, Alex uses all that information, comes up with the theory that yes, he's receiving signs and warnings of what's to come so he can prevent it. Death is not going to make it easy either because in the most convenient timing, death likes to strike when the core survivor group is somehow reunited accidentally. I mean, I'm not kidding. The teacher's there, Terry, Carter, fucking Billy on his bike, unrelated, which Carter almost kills Billy. Fuck you, Carter. All of this is just to confront Alex. And let me tell you, people, Terry, she's had enough. I'd be wrong not to mention this scene. This is the one that made me laugh my ass off.
I will not let this plane crash be the most important thing in my life! Ah! I'm moving on, Carter. And if you want to waste your life beating the shit out of Alex every time you see him, then you can just drop fucking dead.
It's set up perfectly, you know, by now at this point, her little speech, it's just a trope. So when you see through the pattern, you're like, all right, it's coming any second now. And it does not disappoint. Rest in peace, Terry. So now, Death is moving on to who's next in line. Miss Luton. Her ass sees Alex creeping in her yard, so she calls the police. As you should. Some weird goddamn psychic kid is, you know, in the backyard. I gotta assume this motherfucker's a murderer, okay? So yeah, she does the right thing there and only there. Oh man, Miss Luton, what the fuck are you doing, lady? To get to the short of it, she is carrying a mug that is just leaking all of its contents. Like every time you take a swig, do you notice that there's significantly less or that it's dripping probably right where you're walking? So many signs, literal signs. I love the dagger in the background. That's funny. There was so many ways for this to go, and they set up so many possibilities to build the suspense. What they decided to go with, I think it was fucking fun. I mean, sure, it's dark shit, but yeah, it's definitely set up to be a little fun. Especially Miss Luton, who, you know, I kind of just had it in for from the beginning. I was watching her. Let's just say that. Like, your next lady. So yeah, as expected, she dies horribly, and then Alex shows up the last possible second, pulls out the goddamn knife that's impaled her. Why would you do that, dude? Now you really look like the murderer. So Alex FOs, runs into Billy on his bike yet again. Side note before we go any further, there's some weird music choices in here. Now I know this was made in late 90s, came out in 2000, but what the fuck was music like in those days? Maybe I'm drawing a blank or I was just raised in a completely different environment, but listening to the tracks they played during this film, oh no, nope, this could stay exactly where it is, in the past. But whatever, people. Now the gang is reunited and they're on Carter's car. While this motherfucker is having a goddamn lapse of sanity here. Yeah, people, this motherfucker has everyone in his car. Decides to park on a train track because he's a fucking dumbass and he wants to kill everyone. Carter's a fucking asshole, man. I'm sorry, a dick. Luckily for him, Alex saves his ass at the last fucking second. So for now, Carter is okay. He's been, you know, given a pass, so to speak. But who's next? Is it Alex? Is it Clear? Or is it Billy? Spoiler alert, it's Billy. And honestly, people, if I was anyone in this film, I would take probably Billy or Terry's death because he's done. Yeah, I would say those two in particular, they didn't have to suffer like most people in these films. So, hey, yeah, if I had a choice, I'm going out like that. With all this death around him, Alex decides to retreat to this semi death proof cabin that he's sort of just acquired all of a sudden. But get this, people, death is already here, just in time for Alex to taunt it.
Rested. Tetanus. Nice one. I could beat you. Yeah, maybe not forever. But I got this cabin rigged to beat you now.
Death is like, all right then, okay, you think you're good here? Fuck it, we're gonna go for Clear right now. Who, by the way, is by herself alone. Mom, Dad, I almost died. Where the fuck are you? This was days ago, by the way, and I'm still being haunted. Now, this is at the climax of the film. We're about 80 minutes in. At this point, Death is like, okay, Clear, you're gonna wait in the house? I know it's gonna get you out. Let's use your dog. And honestly, people, yeah, if that was me and my dog, which is in the other room right now, he doesn't like me when I'm recording. I don't know if he just doesn't like the fact that I'm talking to nothing. Clearly, he's a dog. He doesn't understand what the fuck I'm doing here. But yeah, if that was my dog, hey, I'd be out there too. Like I said, people, this is the climax of the film, so this kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Clear is inside of a car and there's a goddamn live wire trying to take her out. Alex decides to sacrifice himself so that it would skip her and go to him. This is the climax, people. So Alex takes the noble sacrifice and then he dies. Or at least that's what the fuck I thought. Apparently now it's been 6 months later, people. Yeah, we just slow fade out of there. And then now we're in the present 6 months later. These three, the surviving trio, Carter, Clear, and Alex, they end up in Paris, finally. Life is goddamn good right now, okay? Let me just say that. I'm willing to bet Def is going over his notes like, these motherfuckers are in Paris right now? Alright, I'm coming for that ass. Alex, the main character, is now being like a real fucking Debbie Downer, while Clear and Carter, they're just trying to have a good time. Which, by the way, Clear is now blonde. Yeah, she's moved on from her dark past, bro. Yeah, she's like a new person now. And speaking of which, Carter almost got a complete personality swipe. Surprise! This time, people, Clear gets the warning. Yeah, she literally sees a goddamn bus, warns Alex. Get this, people. Carter decides to step in. He saves Alex. And before we can really celebrate, we see this huge sign coming in from behind him, only to expect that, yeah, Carter's getting wiped out any second. As for what happens to Alex and Clear, we don't know. The screen goes black and the credits roll. Overall, people, I want to say, for the start of the franchise, this is a really solid foundation. It's definitely before the series found its footing, but as we progress, they decide to add more levity, and then it's just more of a roller coaster ride, so to speak. And that wasn't meant to be a Final Destination 3 reference. It just is what it is. Sure, it's about people being horribly mutilated and murdered, but it's fiction, baby. Let's have some fun with this shit. Also, I skipped past this initially. Before we get to the ratings, who the fuck was driving that bus so fast on the streets? And who is the goddamn conductor on the train? Because they didn't try to stop at all. That aside, let's get to the goddamn rating here, okay? Final Destination 1 gets the lowest possible stream it. Now, if you're not familiar with my system, that is essentially a 3 out of 5, if you want to look at it like that. But it's a low 3 out of 5. This film was almost a waste of damn time for me if it wasn't for a few standout scenes, Todd, Terry, those particular ones. Yeah. But if I didn't already own the 5-film collection here, I wouldn't have a copy of Final Destination 1. Let's just be real. It's really strange to me that, over the years, I only had 3. I just got this like a week ago. So, whatever. Weird omission there, but yeah, overall, this is a fun series for the most part. It's okay. Final Destination 1 is okay. Alright, people, I think that's about it. It's time to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in to a very special episode of Old Habits Die Hard. Stay tuned, there will be more Final Destination reviews this year. Definitely going to review Bloodlines, and I would like to sneak 2 or 5 in before then, so we'll see. But thank you once again, and I really appreciate every single one of you. My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve 94, and I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces. Hey, it's me again, the guy from the thing you just watched. Either way, I just need to say thank you so much. You deserve a reward. So, there you go. And while we're here, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and most definitely check out another video. Perhaps this one right here, or maybe that one over there. The choice is entirely up to you. And that is the Ahead of the Curve promise.